Today we receive an accomplished author, a counselor, and a motivational speaker whose life work centers on helping others heal, grow, and believe in their worth. Born in Jamaica in a faith-driven family, her early life marked with hardship, rejection, and personal loss, these challenges became the foundation for her passion to uplift and inspire others. And now, with 5 books at hand, she uses her platform to encourage people to overcome their life's storms and embrace a brighter future. So today we say welcome to Writing Inspiration with Markee Books. Hello Sharon, how are you?
Hi Daniel, I am doing wonderful. Thank you so very much. Thank you for the invite.
Thanks to you for joining us. So Sharon, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, thank you. Doing well.
Great. So Sharon, tell me, how did you become a writer? What inspired you to become one?
Well, as far back as I can remember, I have been writing. I began as a musician or a lyricist writing songs. And I remember writing my first song about the age of 12 years old. And, it just comes naturally. And then fast forward to my adult life, I found myself in a very dark, isolated place, going through depression. I'd lost my first business. I'd lost a child by miscarriage, and just feeling really numb, if you will, and just, secluded myself, even though I was a mom and a wife and just busy in my everyday life. And I just kind of stopped talking, communicating socially, if you will. And one day I felt God speaking to me saying, Sharon, write. And I challenged the thought, and I said, write what? And the words kept coming back, right. And after a little bit of time, I decided to sit down with pen and paper. Nothing came to mind. So I started doodling on the paper. I just made circles, filled it up, crumpled it up, throwed it on the floor, did it again. And then maybe after a good 100 or so pieces of paper, I all of a sudden heard once upon a time. I wrote that on the paper, and it's like someone turned on the faucet and I could not keep up with the words that were flowing through my mind and my heart. And that's where my writing began, especially for my first book.
Wow, that's very fascinating, really. How many books do you have right now out there?
I have 5 out there, but I'm focusing on one. Actually, I wrote my first book in 2009 and then recovered it, all of that good stuff. I want to say last year sometime, because it's a very important story with a very strong message. And so that urgency again to refocus it and put it back out there, it came back around full circle.
Right. I think in 4 years you should do a release, for the 20th anniversary or something like that.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice if we could get it off the ground. Not if, when we get it off the ground.
This is the 15th anniversary then.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so this is a perfect year, right?
In a way, yeah. No, it's
Absolutely.
16.
It's 16?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying this year, okay? Yes, sir.
Okay. So, wow, 5. That's wow. And what do you think was your release window, the time difference between the releases?
Well, see, because I'm a unique individual, I don't do anything solo. So when I wrote my book in 2009, I also released my first CD. And so fast forward, I released the other 4 books. Actually, yeah, the other 4 books, 2024. So I wrote them back to back to back to back to back.
Oh, and you published them together?
All together. So
Wow.
I have 3 passions. I'm a Christian counselor, therapist by profession. So I deal with people, empowering their lives, motivating, inspiring people. I'm a motivational speaker, all of those good things. And so as I started listening to what I'm telling people, I'm realizing that their lives are changing one on one. And it dawned on me, again, that inspirational word, right. And so a lot of my tools, my resources, and my techniques, I put them on paper. And so I have the nonfiction side of me. Then I have the self-help side of me. Then I also have the fiction Christian romance side of me. And that's kind of the fun, the non-brainer where you just write a story, you create, again, because of my life experiences, and I've met so many unique people that you write a life story about around stories.
Right, I get it.
Yeah.
So, do you ever thought this will be your life now that you're an adult and a published author?
Honestly, no. I thought that my dream was to be a pediatric nurse practitioner. But life shifted for me while I was beginning my schooling to become a nurse practitioner. I was working in the field, they call it a IBLC. I was a licensed consultant, and I was going into the community helping mothers to nurse their children, and then also teaching how to parent, effective parenting. Then at the same time, I invented a breastfeeding shawl, the first breastfeeding shawl in the States. And I didn't patent it at first, but again, because I don't do things solo, I do multiple things at the same time. And so things shifted in my first business, as I said. And then I realized that I needed to go back to school to get additional training to know how to counsel people, if you will, not realizing that was an innate skill that I had. I just needed the theoretical part of it. And so I
Yeah,
went.
well, I think you need a license for that.
Well, yes, certifications. Yes, certifications and license. And so I went back to school to get all the certifications. I did 3 masters at the same time. And then I went on and did a PhD and, just got all of the tools and resources. And then it dawned on me that, you know what? This is your passion. And so I've just kept going from there. I motivate people. That's what I was born to do. I'm a natural inspirer, motivator, activator of people.
Wow. Okay, okay. So, going back a little bit to your first book, how long did it take you to get published?
Well, when I first wrote the book, again, my unique brain, I thought and went after a traditional agent. And after the 12th rejection, something said, do it again. And I did it again. And the 13th one was the yes. And so I was signed with a traditional agent in New York, and I was with her for 3 years. And my book went as far as going to the editor's table. And it was my book and someone else's book. And the editor held my book for a month. And then, for whatever reason, she chose the other book. However, my first run, I had written it in third person. And then so after 3 years, they said no, I took it back. Something said rewrite it in second person. So I took about a couple of months, rewrote it in second person, went after another traditional publisher, got one, did the same shopping. They went up, my book again went on an editor's table. And again, after deliberating for a while, they went with the other book. I took it back. And then I was ready to write it in first person. And so when I wrote it in first person as my book, I then said, I'm going to self-publish. And so that was actually when I put it out and would do workshops and things like that and sell the book that way.
I understand. So, how long did it take you to finish your debut work?
Wow. It took me maybe about 9 months. Because some of it, of course, is here. And then I had to collaborate with, my family, my aunt, different family members, my grandmother, because they were there for a lot of the stories. I just wrote about the parts I remembered, but the parts that I didn't remember, I had to confer with my family. So it took me about 9 months.
Naturally, if it's not something, real, you have to ask other people.
Right. Because I remembered things that were not present.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, do you edit your own books or do you have someone doing that for you?
I professionally had it edited.
Oh, do you have like more than one people or you like change editors from time to time?
Well, I have my main editor. She's very good. And then before it gets to her, I had family, close family friends that were teachers and things like that. So I would confer with them and then I would submit it to my main editor, professional editor, and she would put the finishing touches on it.
Oh, okay, okay. So, Sharon, tell me, do you have any advice for new writers starting right now?
Right. So, a couple of things. One thing I would encourage is touch the book every day. Even if it's for 15 minutes, touch the book every day. Just don't even think about the editing initially, just write. Just touch it every day, write something. And then after you finish writing, and you feel like you've emptied everything, then you can go back and look, read what you've read and digest it, because writing is not only for others, but it's first for you. And so whatever things are trying to come together inside of you, that process is happening while you're writing, right? I would say don't be afraid to tell your story. Don't ever be afraid to speak your truth. If there are parts of your book that are so sensitive that, it's not about anybody else, and we all have a story, right? And so you can use pseudonyms, you can use, other names, things like that. But tell your story how you need to tell your story, and it will come together.
Yeah. I have interviewed some authors that struggle a lot with that aspect because when you write about yourself, it's became so personal, well, obviously, that it can mess you up like really a lot.
If you don't know what you're doing, and at the end of the day, you ask yourself, what is the point? My dad taught me this. God rest his soul. He said, when you write a book, because I was not trying to expose or hurt anybody else, but he asked me, he said, why are you writing the book? What's the point? And so, because I trusted the process, I did not need to put every gory detail out there. What is it going to benefit? If it's not going to help somebody else, it's none of your business. It's that straight, right? But if the information that I'm sharing is going to empower somebody else, and if I said reframe it, put some pseudonyms in there, or, just put some respect in there, then tell your story how you need to, but just put it in a way that it does not infringe on anybody else's privacy. And you deal with you. It's my story. It's not somebody else's story. And the message that I'm trying to get across is for you. It's not about somebody else.
Yeah, that's great. I had a guest before that told me that she had to confront her family first before she wrote her book so they wouldn't, be offended or something if she said something that they wouldn't like. Because
Right.
the book was about healing, was exposing the hurt she felt. And obviously, she had to point out some people in her family. And to properly express those feelings. So she had to prepare her family first before exposing that book. So yeah, I think it's a necessary step in a way.
Well, for
Yes.
me, with exposing, the only exposing that I had to do was to confront what someone might have disturbed or taken from me. That was one on one. And once I got back my power and I gave back that pain that was infringed upon me, I was done. And so telling my story, I did not need to tell anybody that I was telling my story because it was my story, not our story. And so because that was a part of my healing, I had to confront each and every person that had hurt me. And once I did that, because that's the problem, is what was done is between me and the person. Once I fix that and get that part of Sharon back, I don't have to get your permission to tell my story because it's mine. And if somebody is offended or doesn't agree, that's not my business, right? Because again, I wasn't writing it to hurt somebody else. I was writing it to help somebody else.
Right. So, what do you think was the most difficult thing you had to struggle when you started writing?
Ooh, the most difficult thing, that's a good question, Daniel. The most difficult thing I had to struggle with was being brave to start writing. Because I felt like I didn't know what to say. I didn't know where to start. And opening the wounds, that was tough. But again, because I trusted the process, I didn't read my book, truth be told. I didn't read my book until after I wrote my book. And then when I read it, that's when I cried. Because it was as if, even though it was my story, I was reading a story that was unimaginable. Because I had gone from adoption, actually going to the beginning, rejection from my own mother in the womb. Because how I got there was by violation from my father. So rejection in the womb, and then my mother not wanting to keep the fetus. But by the time she went to go do an abortion, it was too late. And so imagine somebody carrying something of yours that they don't want. That was my first encounter with rejection and abandonment. And then being born and then given to my grandmother and my aunt, my mother went on with her life. And so imagine this baby not having the nurturing from a mother. I had nurturing from my grandmother and my aunt, but not from my mother. And so growing up feeling alone, feeling abandoned, feeling, you know what I mean? And so dealing with those feelings as a child, that's what the book is talking about, that your beginning doesn't have to dictate your outcome or your ending. I'm a success right now, but I had to go through so many ebbs and flows of life and pain and da 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 da, and putting it all together. So when I read it for myself, I went through those ebbs and flows of emotions too, because it's like, wow. But I also lived an awesome life. I traveled the world because of my adopted parents. They adopted me from in the womb. And I traveled all over the world, Africa. I lived in the UK, came to the States. I met many people. That's why my personality is so animated and colorful, because I love life.
Did you ever reconstruct your relationship with her?
My mother? Absolutely. I met my mother at 18, and then I met my father at 36. I started looking for my dad at 14, and I met him at 36, and then he died 4 years later. My mother just died this past December.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. So, there's things that you continue to work through, but my outlook on life, I'm blessed to have my own children, a husband that loves me. My adopted father just passed a year and a half ago, and my adopted mom is still alive. But, it's just a constant reframing of life, emotion, stuff like that.
Right. So, do you have like a method or something you do when you like feel stuck and you can write anymore?
I walk away. I put it down and I give my brain a rest. Don't think so hard. And then I come back when I'm rejuvenated, or, you have to create a pause every once in a while. Yeah, that's my secret.
Yeah, it sounds simple, but it can be so hard, don't you think? Especially when there's so many ebook influencers telling that you can't stop no matter what. I personally met someone that ended up hating his book because he couldn't, because he was forcing himself to write every single day. And then he ended up hating it. Now he doesn't write anymore.
That's not good. That's not
Yeah.
good. So you remember I mentioned, yes, if you can touch it every day for at least 15 minutes. Remember, I didn't say if you could write every day for 15 minutes, but if you can just touch it, even if it's reading or even just looking at it, just connect with your baby. Just connect with it. Don't force the words because that's not a fun experience, but let it flow naturally. And I think that things happen in seasons too. When you're meant to write, write. And when you need to take a pause, then pause.
Writing a book doesn't need to be an obligation in the end, it's just expression.
That's it. You're giving birth to new life. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, very much in a way.
From a woman's perspective, Daniel, yes.
Yeah. So, tell me, as you wrote your books, what's your writing routine? Were you like a pre-planner, a plotter, or maybe you improvise it?
Wow, good question. I think it may be a little bit of both. As a writer, as a creator, you're always creating. Thoughts are always on your mind. I always take little notes. Then there are those spaces where I may need to improvise. That's okay too. As long as I feel that you don't lose the body, the truth of what it is that you're trying to share. Where improvisation is necessary, then do what you need to do. But just make sure that if it's going to be a nonfiction, just make sure it's not more fiction than nonfiction.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. So, Sharon, let's talk a little bit about your books. Can you tell us a bit about each one? You don't have to spoil anything, and their titles, of course.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. And I don't have any notes, but it's okay. So my first book, which we're promoting now, is She Found It in the Clouds, Destined with Promise.
Oh,
And
that's what your first book. That's the one we're working right now.
yes, Daniel, yes. And that's a nonfiction memoir. And it is, and I did write a couple notes here, it's a powerful reminder that God meets us in our plans. My life is a life of destiny. And I feel that my book is filled with hope, encouragement, and healing for anyone that is facing identity struggles, broken family ties, wounds of adoption, grief, abuse, low self esteem, or the trials of everyday life. This book will connect with anyone, whether you're a male, female, girl or boy, man or woman. The book touches lives in general across the globe. And then I also created the accompanying She Found It in the Clouds, Destined with Promise journal and discussion guide. So folks can use it if they're in study groups or they're in book clubs, or just your own personal, journal. It's got question prompters and different things like that that can help an individual. So that's book 2. The third one is, again, from my work as a counselor. It is My 3 Tiers. My 3 Tiers is a self-help book dealing with what am I feeling, what am I thinking, and what do I know? And it's a tool that helps folks that you're depressed, you have low self-esteem, you feel stuck in your feelings and not knowing what to do with them or who to talk to. How do I get out of this funk? Because life is real, isn't it? And you have people that self-harm or they, self-medicate or whatever the case might be. Well, this is a tried and true process that I've used with hundreds of clients to encourage them how to teach people how to work out of that negative feeling space to a positive space. So it's a journal, but it's a self-help tool. It has the daily, space where you can write your feelings. What am I feeling? And especially if you're faith-based, it's got a faith-based undertone. So it's got scriptures in there and it's got words of affirmation to help to encourage you. So the first one I wrote was for adults. And then the second one was for children. And then we will be coming out with teens, college students, married couples. You know, it's almost like chicken soup for the soul. So this is my tears, exactly. And then my nonfiction romance, I'm sorry, my fiction romance is Discovering Ocean Bay by the Sea. And I'm born in Jamaica, so I'm an island girl. And so the story, it stems around a couple, you know, that live on this island. They met on the island and they start a romance. And, you know, if you read the book, you'll see what happens with the couple. But those are the books so far that I have come out with, and they're all available now.
Wow, that sounds nice. So, do you have a story of how you named your books?
Um, wow. My books for the memoirs, I look at either the main character or I look at something significant that connects with the character or, you know, the setting. That's how I come up with the name. For me, She Found It in the Clouds, because of traveling the world. I remember when I left Jamaica at 6, before I stepped on that Pan Am plane, the steps, I remember looking up to the sky and I remember those clouds. And I said in my Jamaican dialect, I said, Lord, me dead now, meaning I'm going to die, you know, and the truth is that I didn't die. With the self-help books, again, I capture significant terms that someone can remember for the title. And then with my fiction books, it's stemmed around my tropical experience, the island Caribbean flavor, if you will. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, can you tell me what is your favorite book from the ones you wrote?
They're all my favorite. Daniel, come on.
Yeah,
They're
they
all
are all
my
your.
favorite.
It's like asking you to which of your child is your favorite.
They're all my favorites. But no, the one that I feel again that to me is most
Special.
yeah, or not even heart connecting is She Found It in the Clouds. Why? Because you're looking and talking to success.
And well, hearing all the experience you had before that takes you to wrote that book on your debut is actually, well, I will feel a special connection to that too.
Exactly. You understand? So I just believe life is meant to be lived. And I'm an example of if I can make it out of adversity, you will too. And that is why that book speaks volume to me more than the others, if you will.
That's okay. It
Mhm.
happens sometimes. So, are you writing a new book right now?
I am. I've got actually a couple of new books that I'm toggling.
Oh, you're planning to release all together again?
No, I can take my time because I've got the other, like I said, 4 that we have to market. So I have a little bit of leeway before actually pushing those out. But yeah, I've got quite a few books in the queue.
Actually, it's recommended that if the books are not on the same series, like a sequel or something like that, it's better to make windows between each books
Right.
for release.
Yes.
Just to
Thank you.
avoid, because the first 3 months will be for to see how the book sells.
Right.
Honestly, if 2 different books by the same author are released at the same time, it
Right.
can take away sales from another of your books.
Right. Thank you. That's good advice. So that's why I'm holding the other 4 in the reins until She Found It in the Clouds can take off and fly. And then we can bring out the others with the marketing.
Oh,
Thank you for that.
that's
That's
fine.
good.
I think that you can release some together if they are, like, as I said, on the same series or they're
Yes.
similar or they
Right.
complement each other.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. And in a way, they all complement each other, of course, because I'm the author, right? However, I hear what you're saying. It makes sense to, keep one vein before you bring in the next vein. I don't want to distract from the main player.
So I want to ask Sharon, what is like your greatest goal as an author right now?
My greatest goal is to get my books into the hands of the consumers. Get the book into the hands of the consumers. I know that these books are valuable. I know it because I wrote it. God inspired me to write it. And so I believe that there's a message. And I just want to get the message into the right hands of the right people. That's my goal.
I feel that it will reach the people that it needs to reach.
Yes, I agree with you, Daniel.
Exactly. And we need to understand that it's sometimes it might take some time
Yeah,
and not everyone wants to just read our books. And it's fine if they don't. We write for the people that need it, not for the people, not for everyone.
exactly. That's how I believe as well. I'm a counselor, Christian counselor, therapist, and I'm not for everybody. You know, the way I do my practice is not going to match with everyone, but that's okay. I'm not for everyone.
So tell me, do you have like a reader experience that you remember fondly? Like someone that read your book, got close to you and said something about it?
Yes. I recall one particular individual in California, and actually her son was one of my employees. And I wrote the book at that time, and he had a very sick brother that medically had some severe challenges. And so, as his as his manager, you know, I would cover him when he would come to work, and you know, take some of the stress off. You're okay. You know, he's a good worker. And he had my book and my CD in his truck, and his mom was cleaning out his truck. And she picked up the book and the CD, took them into the house, got in her bed, sat down, put the CD in the player, and opened the book and started reading. And she said she began to cry. And she reached out to me by email and she said, "Hi, I know you don't know me, but I'm sitting here in my bed and I'm reading your book and I'm listening to your CD. And I don't know which one it is that is making me cry." But I connected with her through creativity of sound and sight. And we became best of friends and did some significant work together. She passed about 2 years ago of cancer, rare type of cancer. But I will never forget Paulette. And because of that experience, the book or the CD, she didn't know which one. You know, I was exposed to a lot of awesome people. Yeah.
Wow. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very nice. So,
Yeah.
do you have like a support network with other writers that helps you from time to time?
Not really. I mean, folks will come to me for help, and I don't mind sharing, but I personally don't have that network of other writers that I can go to. It would be nice to have that, you know, in the future.
Okay, well, you can always try like one of those writing clubs or stuff like that.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure. Well, in which city are you in?
I'm in Central Florida.
Florida. I think there are. Yeah, actually, recently I interviewed someone that it's in Jacksonville, and yeah, she's in two writing books there.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, what are your plans for the future? Are you planning to go to an event to promote yourself in person, maybe?
I'm open. So I love to motivationally speak as well, you know, so I'm not looking for, but I'm anticipating more speaking engagements, workshops, conferences, things like that. And just, you know, getting the book out there, the word about the book, whatever the avenues are, I'm open to what opportunities afford themselves.
That sounds good. Maybe like
Hmm.
a book signing in a
Right.
library,
I would love that.
in a local library, or
Yes.
I think it's Florida. There are many book fairs there, so yeah, you might try to set up a stand. To get them, you need to go to the website of the event, and I think you can fill a form
Right, right, absolutely.
in
Thank
most cases.
Yes, yes.
Well,
So yes,
at
there
least for New York, it's like that.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, there are many opportunities out there, and those opportunities will find me or I'll find them.
Happy to hear that. So,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit on which platforms can we get your book?
So my book is available across all the platforms from Amazon to Walmart, Barnes and Noble, Apple Books. It's in audio form, it's in hard copy, soft copy, and KDP. Wow.
Audio.
Yep.
Wow.
Ingram and Sparks.
Did you
Uh,
read it yourself or you got someone?
I did both. I did both. So I had a narrated, voice, and then I forgot Amazon. I think you have to do your voice. So I'm hoping that they will accept. They've accepted it so far, so we'll see. But the other audios have accepted it.
Wow, that's great. I still don't know how they approve that, but it sounds interesting.
It's a tedious task.
I can imagine.
Tedious. Yes, yes. Because if things are not, as Markee knows, I mean, we've been working together for a while. There are so many hoops and loops, and oh my goodness, it's pulling out your hair.
Yeah, even for the hardcover, it is. It
Mhm.
always is. So,
It's
do you have like social media that you can share so people can like see your updates later on?
absolutely. So my website is sharonmaejones.org. I am on TikTok. I'm there on New Insight, the number 2 life.org. Across Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, it's New Insight number 2 life.org. Of course, SharonMaeJones.org. Pretty much those are the 2 ways that you can find me. I am out there on the social media platforms.
Okay. So you have a TikTok. What do you usually do there?
So for about 4 years, I did motivational speaking and encouragement, and I would fuse it with my faith-based platform. So we would talk about life, infusing the word, the Bible, and just encouraging people. And I've seen lives change. We've seen relationships come back together. We've seen people come off the ledge with suicide. We've impacted so many people. I have about 14,000 plus followers. And so I took a break when my dad passed about a year and a half ago. And people have been wanting me to come back. So I'm really, really processing it because it takes a lot out of you. So yeah, I probably will go back to it, but not as concentrated, maybe like once a week or so. I'm on Instagram and Facebook the same, but I think TikTok may be my main platform for now, and then get on the others after
I
that.
see.
And
Okay,
so,
okay. Well, I think that's all for now, Sharon. Thank you so
thanks.
much for joining us today. I really hope that everything goes well and we can finish all this so we can start marketing hard the books. And maybe when the other books are out, we can maybe have another episode. Thank you so much for joining us today and for this nice conversation.
Thank you, Daniel, for taking the time. I appreciate you, and I've enjoyed the conversation.
I'm happy to hear that. Well, thanks for joining us today, and bye to you, and bye, Sharon.
Bye,
Thanks.
Daniel. Take care.
Sharon left us with many lessons, but I want to point one in particular. Your beginning doesn't define your ending. Based on her own experiences, Sharon's life shows that no matter where you start or how rough the start was, you can still create a future filled with joy and purpose. Well, thanks for coming and joining us today. If you find this episode inspiring, like, subscribe, and share this video. And give Markee Books a try in the link below. Have a nice day and see you next week. Bye.